One of my favorite stories was I took care of a baby who was about 2 years old who had a trach and couldn't talk. And every day he'd change the dressing on his indwelling catheter. And one day I had a Band-Aid on my finger because I must have had a cut. And it was loose at one point, and he pointed to it, and I don't know why I asked him if he wanted to change my Band-Aid. and he did. But it was so fun to watch because he so meticulously took it off with this incredible care. And I thought, oh, is this what I look like when I'm changing your dressing?
What makes an outstanding nurse is the intensity of their commitment to know all of the details of the kids that they care for and their families, and to understand really deeply sort of the diseases that are within their specialty so that they can be the best of teachers and the best of supporters.
We deal with children who have chronic rheumatic diseases like arthritis and lupus and things that are not curable. They don't go away.
Many of these kids have diseases. They will have them their entire lives. But that doesn't mean you can't work towards being well. And how do you live well? How do you, and are you able to do the things that you should do? Go to school, play with your friends, plan on what you're going to do when you grow up. And I think if you focus too much on their illness, they can lose sight of that. And I think it's important to focus on the other parts of their life. Your tummy, just today or every day? It is important for people to know that you care about them. Not just their disease, not just what you do, but that you care about them. And what happens to them and how they're doing in all respects. And I think developing that relationship, taking the time to get to know people, is incredibly important.
I encounter the parents who bring their children here, and what they say is, Betty's my go-to person. Betty's the person I know I can call. I've got Betty's number, and I can call her Friday night at 5 o'clock or Monday morning at 7:30 in the morning. And I know that no matter how complicated my need is, Betty says, okay, all right, let's figure out how we do this. And I think that's the ingredient that I would ask anybody who's a prospective nurse to think about. Do you want to be that kind of person who plays that kind of role in the lives of families? So what's remarkable about Betty is that Betty built something. You know, when Betty arrived here, and I guess it's been a couple of decades, rheumatology had a small presence here. It was Betty in a part-time capacity. Now, some 20 years later, look at where things are. You know, her reach now extends beyond the Twin Cities, throughout the state of Minnesota, and beyond, to kids who really need the kind of specialty care that Betty and her team provide.
In one day was my most. I had one kid, little boy, give me 6 times because he was so nervous. We got everything ready, and then he'd go like this, and I'm going, you have to give the medicine. The needle doesn't do anything. It's just, the injection isn't it. It's the medicine. You take kids who are so afraid of something, and you can kind of work your way to the point where they can go, oh, I can do that.
Something that probably doesn't get mentioned much is how many fellows and residents, those people who are in their training years here, have learned from Betty. But along the way, every one of them would say to you, Betty Bishop has taught me some stuff about rheumatology.
It has been helpful to educate me about how to take care of patients better. She educates our trainees, our pediatricians who are learning to become pediatric rheumatologists. She's wonderful in educating them about how to be better pediatric rheumatologists.
I think I learned very early on how important it was to get to know your patients, because those children were in isolation, and often you were the only person in the room with them if their parents had left. And you got to know them so well. But they also got to know you. And it is a relationship. And it's what I enjoy.
Do you feel like a superhero?
No. No, never do. outsider. Just feel like me. But I always think that's a good place for people to be. As my kids say, that's your favorite line, Mom, to be comfortable in your own skin. It's a good line. It's a good way to live your life.